So the next thing we're going to discuss is how to make your own fake gross nails. Now, nails can completely change a character the same way that facial hair can completely change a character. Imagine that you have a creature who has really long talons. You can make those very easily on your own. Or if you have someone who, has some really gross nails, and it just kind of helps to give the illusion of someone who has been through something, or has been a little under the weather or distressed or something like that. It's personal care is one of those things that goes when there's something going on. So this is a great way to add an extra detail into your character. Now what we're going to do is we have just standard plastic nails. You can find these online, you can find them in beauty stores. There's nothing special about these. This is exactly what you would use if you were to go to the nail salon to get your nails done properly. But what you're going to do is you're going to take one of the sizes, find the size that fits each nail because they're all different sizes. So this size is about good for this one. Now, you can see easily if this was adhered here, this could work for sort of a creature claw if you wanted it to, but these are they're sturdy, but you can manipulate them. So you can take a pair of scissors, for example, if you want it to be a creature claw, you could just cut along the side there, and then you could cut along the side there. Now you have a point. Take a heavy grit nail file and file the sides down so you have a smoother finish. And then, because this top part is so shiny, you aren't really able to paint on top of it the way you would want to. So just take this right on the top and file some of that shine away. This will expose the matte finish underneath. And then you're able to actually use your skin illustrators to paint on top of here and make whatever color you want it to be. And this also gives it texture too. So if you think of your nails, even if you look at them natural, they may have a slight shine, but not as much as plastic does. So roughing them up a little bit with a nail file is a good way to give some texture into it and bring a little more realism to the look. And you can do, like I said, any shape you want here. This is an easy way to make a creature claw, like I said, which is one of the most commonly used ones. You can see how now we have variation in tone and texture on this nail that we can paint with our skin illustrators and make either a really gross kind of yellow old age tone. We can make them in, maybe you want it to be a black nail for an animal, something like that. I actually made one. I just kind of cut it up, and it's kind of gross. It's just kind of like a gross ripped up nail. I put a little bit of aging around it to make it look gross and chipped. So this is going to be applied here and blended in, and then this will give the illusion that the nails are long and kind of jagged and beat up. So what I'm going to do is take some alcohol on a Q-tip, just clean the nail off again. We're always cleaning the area of any oils or moisture. Make sure it's nice and dry before you start. And now, if you need this to stay a long time, you can certainly use nail glue that you would purchase from the nail store. But I'm just going to simply do a tiny dab of spirit gum because we're not trying to get this to adhere for a crazy long time. Let that spirit gum get a little bit tacky. And while the spirit gum is getting tacky, I'm going to talk about third degree because this is what we're going to use to blend. Now, third degree is, you'll see it comes in two jars, an A and a B. This is very important to note that they have to stay separate. Because it is a two-part silicone compound, if any part of B gets into A or vice versa, the entire jar will cure and you have to throw it away. So keep them separate, A and B, know which is which. There's not only labels on the top, but on the actual jar itself. Even the lid, if you put the wrong lid back on the wrong jar, the whole jar will cure and it'll be trash at that point. So what you want to use is you want to have a clean cup out of there. Popsicle stick is what you want to use here, and I like to just break it in half. That way I can leave one piece on A and one on B. That way you know you have one stick to use for everything and you're not contaminating anything. Now, you want to take equal parts. If you have a gram scale that you can tear out the cup, you can use a gram scale. We don't need much of this, so I find it's easier for a small amount like this to just eyeball it in measurement. So remember how much you're taking. So I'm taking a bit of part A, and I'm going to close the cap immediately. That way there's no guesswork of which is which. And that's going to go right in the cup, and then I'm going to throw that away. Then remembering the same amount, we're going into part B. And we're taking about the same amount of part B. Again, closing the cup. Then, the second you hit part A and part B together to mix them, they begin to cure. So it will take some time. Make sure you mix this very, very well together. It is, you can see, it's really stringy and goopy. That's okay. It will harden up and it will stick together and it will cure into a hard moldable silicone. Now this one has no color to it, but you can get them that come with flesh tone colors, or even there's some blood colors, things like that. It just really depends on what you're using it for. You can paint these with the Skin Illustrator and a multitude of paints, so I find that the clear works best for me because I'm able to do a lot with it. Now that that's mixed, we're going to let it sit for a moment and take our nail, and we're just going to press this right into the spirit gum and just hold it for a minute to let it adhere. It's okay if it doesn't completely stay on, because what we're going to do now that it's mostly there is we're going to take our 3rd degree and using this as a filler, I'm just going to have you close this one. We're going to put this right on top. So this is going to make it look as if this is the new cuticle of the hand and that the nail is growing right out of it. So fill in these sides, and again, you don't need a lot of this, but do fill in a bit so that it looks like it's growing out of here versus versus something being placed right on top of it. And you have a little bit of working time. It will take a little bit to cure, probably about depending on the conditions in the room, temperature will affect the cure time. It typically tends to start setting within a few minutes and then takes a little bit longer from thereafter. And once you kind of mold it into how you want, I'm pushing the top back just to create a new fake cuticle here, and the sides also. If you were doing the entire hand, what you would want to do is adhere all the nails down first, and then you would go back and do all the silicone at the same time. You'll probably want to work in smaller batches and slowly build it up. That way you're not wasting it when if you're taking a long time to sculpt one of them, you're not wasting it when the rest of it cures. But this is one of my favorite FX products that exists out there because it is just custom molding a very durable shape. And use your tools also. Like I'm trying to get some gross texture on this nail, so I'm going to actually use the ripped up portion of this wooden stick to kind of just drag across the top of this nail to give it some ridges. Now, before this fully cures, what you want to do is you want to take a brush and 99% alcohol will help to blend the edge out here. So instead of leaving it as is, you just want to burn this edge around and use the alcohol to really smooth it down. And this is something that you do need to do before it's completely cured, because once it's cured, it's there and it's stuck on the hand. But the alcohol will help to blend the edge down so you don't have any discernible edge here. Make sure you look at the top also, or the tip of the finger here, to make sure that there's no product around the outside or up here that you don't want there. And you'll see too, it starts to get a bit harder once it's in cure mode. And this stuff is great too because you can use it to custom sculpt little wounds. You can do burns. You can do really anything with this stuff. It's really a cool product. And because it's a silicone base, it's very durable. And when you take it off, it'll stay on very well, but when you remove it, it removes in one piece. So in some cases, if you've custom made a little wound on someone, you're actually able to reuse that if there was a fine enough edge that you created with it. So it's really a fun thing to work with. And it does look very natural. So once you kind of got it to where you want it, you just leave it to cure. Because there is the cure time, if there's anything else makeup-wise that you're needing to do to your character, that's a good time, because you don't ever just want to be sitting there waiting for something. There's always something you could be doing, whether it's little touch-ups or, you know, final looks or things like that. Just think of what you can be doing, and if there's nothing to your look that can be done at the time, think of what you can be cleaning at your station, things like that, so that you use your time as wisely as possible. And then I'm going to have you scoot your hand back, just keep it level, or you can rest it on your leg if that's more comfortable, just so it doesn't droop down. Cool.